Hello, my name is Hannah. Welcome if you are new here. Welcome back if you are not. Today is another cash kind of quick video because, like I said previously, September is a pretty busy month for me, so I haven't had a lot of excess content time. As always, Ruthie is playing directly next to the camera. There's also potentially a lot of people in my house right now, so if you hear other voices, ignore them. I feel like I'm sitting very close to you. TBD. Okay, so today is kind of a fun one. I'm going to do the Anti Tbr Tag, which is, it's pretty good. Sorry, I'm just playing with my dog as I do this. Oh! Okay, go over there. Thank you. So, I feel like this should probably go without saying since this is like kind of a hater's tag, if you will. But these are just my opinions. And also, as much like Sturm und Drang as people do in these videos, I don't know that there's really a book on earth that I would absolutely never read. So all of these are half-truths. There are some questions in this tag that absolutely beg for slamming some popular books, and I don't think I'm really planning on slamming anything. Let's just get started, I think. All right, a popular book everyone loves that you have no interest in reading. There's actually quite a few. If I'm being completely honest, which, you know, I intend to be, any like YA fantasy series that gets very popular very quickly, I have natural hesitance about, and most of them I do not actually set out intending to read. But like, as far as books that a lot of people love that I have no interest in reading, I think of like The Cruel Prince, The Red Queen, Cinder, the After series as well. I just have nothing is drawing me to reading any of those books. For some reason, with a lot of like YA fantasy series especially, they get so popular and people don't necessarily do a great job of like describing what they're about. So a lot of them to me are completely interchangeable in my mind until I get like a very real, personal, concrete recommendation. Because, I mean, that was the case for the Six of Crows books. I had no intention of reading those until a coworker of mine picked it for a book club read. Same thing with the Raven Cycle. I started and DNF'd the Raven Boys twice before finally, like, actually reading it, which is, like, way more chances than I normally give a book. Really a lot of popular books, and especially series. I'm sorry if I'm gonna like commit myself to reading like 6 books, it better be good. And also, for some reason, on the end tacked on here after talking about all those series, I have We Were Liars. There's just like too many disparate opinions and not in like an engaging discoursey way. Come out with the very hot takes. First question. All right, now, a classic book or author you don't have any interest in reading. For me, generally classics are kind of a never say never type of thing, because there are some classics that like I just kind of pick them up just to see what's going on, and I end up loving them, like Martin Eden. I would say 2 classic authors that I'm not like clamoring to pick up any of their books are probably like Charles Dickens and like Leo Tolstoy. Maybe with the exception of Anna Karenina, which I'm kind of interested in reading. Really anything that's going to be like very long and complicated and bleak. You know, human nature would tell you that doesn't sound like it's going to be fun to read. But again, there is a decent chance I would end up loving those if I did read them, because I am someone who read and loved Les Mis, so who knows? So yeah, I tend to not rule out classics, but it just sometimes takes like a force majeure for me to actually want to pick them up. I feel like I'm doing a lot of hemming and hawing on all of the answers in this tag. Wow. Okay, the next question is an author / problematic author whose books you have no interest in reading? As far as authors, I'm not generally someone who will rule out reading an author or a book purely because it's problematic. I definitely will rule out spending money and giving an author money if I know they're problematic. Like, that itself could be a whole discussion. Like, I'm literally sitting in front of, like, probably half a dozen problematic authors right now. But to answer the actual question, an author who comes to mind that I'm just, like, not interested in reading at all is Sarah J Maas, which I know is controversial because she has stans, but, you know, she just has, like, 80 books, and they're all, like, 1,000 pages. None of the concepts or prompts sound interesting to me. I feel like I've caught wind that she's problematic. I don't have any receipts or know in what way she is. I just kind of get like an ambient no thank you vibe from her books. I think a non-zero part of that has to do with, as a bookseller, it's her and Cassandra Clare are like my two worst enemies because their books are a nightmare to shelve because there's a billion of them. We have to have all of them on hand, and they're all that thick. That's the easiest way to catch beef with booksellers, is write too many big ass books. Another author that I have just like no interest in reading is Ayn Rand. I feel like that's not that complicated of an answer. In high school, actually, we read Anthem in one of my classes, and we just read the book, and we read it through like a lens of like, this is a book about individuality. But we weren't actually taught anything about Ayn Rand or what she actually meant the book to mean, or like her politics, or like what is objectivism? Why is she so into unchecked capitalism, but she says she's not an anarchist? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, when I read Anthem when I was like 17 and I had no critical thinking whatsoever, and I was not taught to critically read things, I thought Anthem was the bee's knees. I think I gave that like 5 stars when I was in high school. Eek! You will not catch me reading, you know, Atlas Shrugged in this lifetime, probably. If I had time to read a book that big, I'm not going to read Atlas Shrugged. An author who you have read a couple books from and have decided their books are not for you. This one's kind of an interesting answer to me, because I don't want it to be the case, but it just is. And the answer for me is Matt Haig, which is really unfortunate. Which is unfortunate because I think he has some really great points of view, but I've read 2 of his books now, and they have just given me some trouble. So a couple years ago now, I read How to Stop Time, because it was going to be a movie, and that's the whole thing. I found the plot like fine, but not terribly engaging. But I really liked like the messaging of it. I liked the opinions on like living a good life and finding happiness and finding purpose in your life. Like, I really liked that aspect of it. So I figured, I knew Matt Haig had also written nonfiction. So I was like, I bet I would really like his nonfiction. If I didn't care for the plot, but I liked the message, I'll read some of his nonfiction. So I read Notes on a Nervous Planet, which I have never been so stressed out reading a book in my life. I don't consider myself to be a particularly anxious person, but that book made me anxious as hell. I couldn't read more than a couple pages at a time without getting like a tension headache. Because it felt like the crux of it was like, if you're scared, you're right to be. And if you're not, you should be. You know, I'm a zillennial. I have a healthy amount of climate anxiety, and that made it like 1,000 times worse. I really want to like Matt Haig and his writing, but it's just like, you're not making it easy on me, dude. Maybe I'm just striking out in what books of his that I'm choosing to read, but if I'm 0 for 2, that's usually like as many chances as I'll give an author. But I might give him more, but I don't know. I don't know if it's worth like the anguish. And also, to a lesser extent, not quite to the dagger to the heart extent of Matt Haig, Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen's domestic thrillers. I've read, I think there are 3, and I have read all of them. That's how much I remember the one about like the sisters or whatever. I have liked each one less than the last. I kind of thought The Wife Between Us was fun, but they're just, I'm done. Each one I have thought is like more predictable and less thrilling than the last. So, alas, no more Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen for me. I feel very certain and comfortable in not picking up their next book that's coming out soon. All right, next prompt is a genre you have no interest in, or a genre you tried to get into and couldn't. A genre I'm not really interested in is probably like self-help, or like, especially like those business self-help books. You would not believe, working at a bookstore, how often customers try to recommend like the proximity principle to you. I'm like, I'm okay, thank you. I also don't know that I've actively avoided Westerns. I certainly haven't picked any up because most of them just don't sound interesting to me. I have Outlawed on my TBR, and that's like a Western. It's like a literary Western. And also, to be completely honest, I love the moment that contemporary romance is having. I like that so many people who haven't read a book in years are picking up like The Bride Test or something, but I just have no interest in those mostly. I read Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and I thought it was cute. It's just a lot of like contemporary romances I'm just not interested in. I'm so glad y'all are having fun though. They're so popular. They're selling like hotcakes, and again, they're getting people to read who generally might not be reading and buying books otherwise. So that's great. Everyone wins. I will just cheer you on from the sidelines, but I'm just not a contemporary romance person. I'm sorry. Okay, this next prompt, I'm sorry. A book you have bought but will never read. I literally do not have an answer for this. This prompt seems like pathological to me. Like, I have copies of books that I won't read. Like I hauled this a couple weeks ago. I have this really cool old box set of the Foundation trilogy. I will read Foundation. I have it on hold at the library, but I won't read these copies because I probably have some others like that. Like, I have this old Dune somewhere. Yeah, I have this old Dune that I won't read out of. But that's like, I won't read that copy because it's old or fragile, or like if I have like a big heavy hardcover of something that I bought like as a collector's edition or something like that, it would be a book that I have read or have the intention of reading. Like, I think it is odd to purchase a book, and even odder, stranger to keep a book that you have no intention of reading. That's just very strange to me. Can someone explain that? I really don't get that. Is it like consumerism? Like, mindless consumption is still mindless consumption. Even if it's books you're mindlessly consuming. I don't know. Right? There's a paper shortage. Have some sense. The next prompt, I actually have quite a few answers for, is a series you have no interest in, or a series you started and have DNF'd. So for the first prompt, I basically only listed series because a lot of like standalone books I'll at least take a whack at. I don't know. So I have like Sarah J Maas again. She has like several different series. She has an adult fantasy series with like the bright colors, and then she has the YA series that all of the titles sound the same. I feel like I'm being mean, but the thing of Thing and Thing is such a boring naming convention, and everyone is guilty of it. I started a couple different Cassandra Clare series like in high school. I think even in high school I was like, these are a little goofy, and I did not finish any of them, I think. I read about half of Gilded Wolves, and I hated it. I DNF'd that, and will not be finishing this series. And I thought I would love that, because it's like magic heist, and I was like, I love a magic heist, and I didn't like it. Same thing with like The System Divine. I thought I would love it. It's a YA sci-fi retelling of Les Mis. And I was like, hello? But I don't think I got halfway through that book before I just got so annoyed that I think I sold it. I think I sold it to Half Price Books. I was like, I don't even want to look at this. I was like, where are the Barricade Boys? This is boring. How do you make Les Mis boring? It's kind of a boring book. What's another one? His Dark Materials. I read The Golden Compass for the first time as an adult because I wanted to watch the HBO series of His Dark Materials. And I read it. I thought it was fine. I think I just don't get it. Maybe it's because I read it as an adult for the first time. But I know other people read it as adults for the first time and absolutely love it. So maybe it's just not for me. I liked it. I thought it was fine. I finished the book. I just did not continue with the series. And then I didn't watch the TV show either. So wins all around. And then with Dune. I'm a Dune head and I haven't read all of the Dune books. I got about halfway through Children of Dune before I tapped out. I was like, this is getting a little off the track for me. Then I watched, I think it was the It's Lit video about Dune and like how the next 2 or 3 books after Dune kind of like enhanced Dune. And I guess I'd never really thought of it that way. So I would be interested in reading the rest of the Frank Herbert Dune books. But I have no interest in reading Brian Herbert's Dune books. Maybe that's like petty of me. I think it is bold as hell that Brian Herbert's Twitter handle is Dune Author. Like, you are Dune Author's son, Brian. And the last question, a new release you have no interest in reading. Quite a lot of them. But the one that really came to mind when I was writing my answers down was The Love Hypothesis, because that came out like last week or the week before, and I literally cannot go 30 seconds without seeing that book. And I'm just like, that cover means nothing to me. That title means nothing to me. I get it. They look like Star Wars characters. It's very fun. I'm not interested. I don't want to read it. I'm sorry. So that was my anti-TBR tag. I basically just listed off books that are widely beloved and said, I don't want it. This was just kind of a quick little cash little video that hopefully I can get out in less than a week. So yes. If I insulted your favorite book series by saying it just doesn't sound like something I would like, I'm very sorry. Maybe if you give a strong enough, personal enough recommendation, I don't know, something might find its way onto my TBR. Who knows? Who knows? This tag was very interesting because I feel like I didn't actually say anything. Besides, I like Dune, I like Les Mis, Matt Haig stresses me out. Those are the takeaways. Which honestly could be the takeaway of just about any video I've ever made. So that's all. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one, whenever that is. That's all. Bye!